Hello and welcome to the Tavern Chat podcast. I am your host, Eric Tenkar, your bartender in the OSR, your main proprietor, Tenkar's Tavern blog. Unless you forget the Discord server with live chats multiple times a week and recordings of podcasts that are done live on Friday nights and Sunday mornings. And the Tenkar's Tavern Facebook community, sneaking up on 2,500 members. You're there, right? We can discuss again things geekdom and nerddom and fantasy and science fiction and yada yada yada. So today, I wasn't looking for anything in particular, but I was looking at my Facebook feed, and I saw something it never even crossed my mind. I'm big on Kickstarter. You all know that, all right? I am big on supporting projects through Kickstarter. I am a super backer with way too many projects behind me that I've backed. And I don't even want to know how much money I've spent on Kickstarter backing all these projects. I think it's going to be bad enough just funding the number of projects that I've backed. I'm sure somebody wants to know. Let's see. Active pledges 3. So there's 3 pledges that I am actively backing. Only one of them is an RPG one. Can you believe that? Oh, I don't know why I'm backing for fucking world's first smart cutting board with 10 features, the Chopbox. I know why I'm backing for the Air Ally, the Apple Forum 1 10,000 mAh power solution. That makes sense. But the other one? I'm not 100% sure why I'm backing it. But in any case, I've backed 362 successful projects, and I've backed 19 that were either canceled or failed. But remember, just because I backed 362 successful pledges doesn't mean I've gotten 362 projects who actually deliver. But I digress. That's not what today's podcast is about. Apparently, workers at Kickstarter are looking to unionize. Now, just a little background. My father worked for AT&T / New York Telephone / I guess it was 9X and then Bell Atlantic. Retired from that job. He was a union worker. And his big thing to me was, you want a union job. And my experience, and again, I was a cop. I was a cop for 20 years. I was a police officer and a sergeant, and I was for 2 different benevolent associations, which are basically unions for law enforcement in New York City, because we weren't allowed to strike. So it's kind of like you're a union, but you're not a union, yada, yada, yada. But overall, I was happy. More happy with my the SBA, the sergeant's union, than I was with the patrolman's union. But it's a leadership thing. Do I think that every job needs to be unionized? No. I worked retail for 8.5 years. They tried to unionize at that job. Never happened. The companies generally don't want you to unionize because it gives the workers one voice. All right, when you have one voice, you're a bit more powerful. That goes for everything, even in gaming. Okay, if you want to be heard, one voice. But in any case, they're trying to unionize, and there's pushback from Kickstarter itself. Again, not a surprise. And for the most part, tech companies aren't really unionized. Just the way it is. So this could be a game changer if they do unionize. However, and this is where it comes into play, it's not the idea of unionization that makes me want to bring this up. It's that there are creators and backers that are shying away from Kickstarter because they feel Kickstarter is basically unfriendly to union workers. So we're having a company that is getting, I guess you could say there's a disorganized sort of boycott going on against Kickstarter, but not because of a political stand, not because of a stand on social issues, but because of unionization or lack thereof. And I find that very interesting. We are a society that at this point, we don't, and I'm saying we, I'm not talking myself personally, I'm probably not even not talking about you if you listen to this podcast, but there's a large portion of at least American society that everything becomes one big issue or one issue and persona non grata, blacklisted, never shop again at that store, deal with that manufacturer, listen to that radio network, whatever. Okay. And I don't remember seeing such a. I guess we've always had a little bit of a backlash. I guess you had the moral majority back when I was younger, which they were not a majority, and I don't really think they were all that moral, but they spoke with one voice. All right, so they were loud. We talk about the far left and the far right these days. When they get focused on one voice, one issue, that's when they get a lot more power than their numbers would generally say. But money talks, right? And it's one thing to say, yeah, I ain't gonna listen to this podcast or screw that author. But it's another when by not supporting people that you might personally like what they're offering, but because the platform is anti-union. Now, what takes precedence? Okay, this is the quandary, right? It's like, oh, I don't support on Kickstarter anymore because they're anti-union, but now, John Smith's RPG company, who I love backing their shit, is going to use Kickstarter because they're still the largest platform, right? Indiegogo is like way distant, number two. And then there's the ones you never fucking heard of, right? Because Kickstarter, in addition to being the number one platform, is probably the number one built-in advertisement for your Kickstarter. So to not present it on Kickstarter is leaving money on the table. All right? And if you're a Kickstarter creator, now you got to think, what's more important, putting money on the table, feeding myself and my family, or taking a stand about Kickstarter and their disdain, I guess, or desire not to have a union? I know it's real life getting into our hobby because you got to remember that a good portion of the physical books that you get, even the ones that show up in stores, are because they got kickstarted. And that's what funded it. And that's what allowed a company to publish it with minimal risk of something like, I don't know, overstock and dead tree books in a warehouse sitting there rotting and you pay for their storage. I'm not telling anybody what stand to take. Me, personally, I feel for those that are looking to start a union, and I understand why Kickstarter doesn't want a union. I can see both sides. But I'm personally going to put a priority on backing the people that are using Kickstarter that I like their projects, I like their products, and I want them to succeed. So we don't live in a perfect world. And I never expected perfection from it. So I guess maybe I'm rare like that. But that's the situation. And as a customer, you should be armed with knowledge. So that is your knowledge. Right now, there's a desire by employees at Kickstarter to unionize. There is a strong pushback from Kickstarter not to have unionization. Apparently, they fired 2 people recently that were involved in organizing a possible union, and there's been, I guess, a complaint filed with the National Labor Board in regards to that. So I'm going to link 2 articles in this podcast. One is from currentaffairs.org, and the other one is from vice.com. And they get you a little bit of a deeper background into this. Make your own decisions. All right, folks, on that note, as always, be safe, be well. God bless. Roll those dice, and I will talk with you all tomorrow.